So on this channel I like offering lots of different types of content, different types of art, different types of making, different DIYs, sewing, all sorts of different things. And that's partly because I'm interested in all of those different things and I get bored if I do the same thing for too long. So I hope that you like the mixed content too. What you probably don't know is that I'm best known as a printmaker, and what I do a lot of is screen printing. I'm a member at Edinburgh Printmakers, which is a print studio where anyone who's a member can go along and use the facilities, and I produce a lot of prints there, some of which have been exhibited in some really fun places like the Royal Academy in London. And the next exhibition I have coming up is that I have some work in the Woolwich Contemporary Print Fair in November. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I thought today I'd show you a little bit about my home screen printing setup. That's because I've been using it an awful lot more recently because the print studio has been closed during lockdown. So I've been working on a smaller scale than I normally would, and I've been working at home. So I have a little studio space at home, which is fantastic, and I'm very lucky to have that. But I do think that screen printing is something that you can do. You don't have to have a studio to do it. It does take a little bit of equipment and a bit of setup, but there are some really good beginners kits available, and I think this is something that can be accessible if you want to have a go at printmaking. So in this video today I'm going to show you all the steps that you need to get to the point of having a screen that you can take a print from. In next week's video I'm going to be showing you what do you do next. So what do you do with the screen when you've got it, and how do you get a really good print from it? And then also how to clean the screen down and reclaim it so you can use it again on a different image. So I've been working on a series of screen prints that are, I think I've called them gallery wall prints, and I'm experimenting with style. So that's what I've been doing over lockdown, is trying out different styles. And to keep them united, I've been working in similar colour schemes and tones and standard sizes, so that you could pick a selection of prints and mix and match them, and then they'd work together in a gallery wall, even though they might be very different styles. So I'm working on a print today that just takes some really simple shapes and repeats them and repeats them and repeats them, and it ends up with a print that's got quite a graphic kind of clean look to it. To expose a drawing onto a screen, you're going to need to have it in some kind of transparent material. And sometimes I like to draw straight onto something that's transparent. So some acetate, I like this tracing paper or drafting film. But for these prints, I want to be able to change the size of them. So I'm drawing straight onto a piece of white card, and then I'm going to scan it into my computer, and then that'll allow me to resize it and print it out at various different sizes. And I print it onto a printable acetate. You can get that from Stationery Shop, but I get mine from screen print suppliers. So I just start by taking my time doing the drawing. You can use anything you like to draw these. They look really nice. If you want to include some texture, you could use pencil or pastel or paint and brushes. As long as you get like a nice dark colour, that's fine. I'm using these fine liners because I want a quite graphic linear look for this particular print. The only thing that won't work is where you've got very light washes of colour. They just won't show up on the screen at all. You need something that's quite contrasty. So sometimes I paint with India ink. Sometimes I use pencils or charcoal or something like that, but use them quite darkly and quite thickly. And then if you are scanning them into the computer, you can always increase the contrast in Photoshop or something like that. And then when you print it out, you'll end up with an image that will show up on the screen. So when your drawing's all ready and you have it on a transparent medium, you're ready to put it onto a screen. These screens I have are quite small, and I can print something here up to A3 size. You need to make sure there's a couple of inches of either side of your print, whatever size it is, whatever screen you're working on. You just need to make sure there's a little bit of room all around. And then I've got some screen print emulsion. So this is emulsion that you use to coat your screen. When it comes in two parts. There's like a big pot, and then there'll be like a little bottle or a sachet or something like that you mix with water, and then you mix it all together. And that usually changes the colour a little bit. And then it's kind of active. So when you've mixed it, it becomes sensitive to light. So light will harden the mixture. So you need to make sure you keep a lid on it. And then when it's mixed up, it'll last maybe a few weeks, a few months. It depends on what brand of emulsion you've got. And now I need to get it onto a screen. So I've got this coating trough. It's a little metal trough, and it comes with little plastic ends. And just attach the plastic ends. And then pour your emulsion into the trough, making sure you put in more than you think you'll need. And then you're ready to coat your screen. You need to find somewhere to prop up your screen, that it's at a slight angle, and so that it won't kind of pling upwards when you put pressure on it. Like this is the handle of one of my kitchen cupboards. Just place the coating trough at the bottom of the screen and slowly lean it up until you see the emulsion creating a bead all the way along the edge of the trough. And then when you see the emulsion all the way along the edge of that trough, you can then slowly and carefully lift it up, keeping even pressure on all the way until you get to the top of the screen. Then carefully lift it off. And if you get any kind of thicker areas, you can use the edge of the coating trough without putting any more emulsion onto your screen, just to scrape up those extra bits. And then turn the screen around and do the same on the other side. Once your screen's coated, you need somewhere to keep it that's dark. So I find the cupboard under my stairs is perfect. So then I just leave it in there to dry. And it might take about half an hour, but if you want to speed up the process, you could put a little fan on it, and then it would be dry in maybe 10 or 20 minutes. When you're finished coating your screen, all you need to do is to pour back any excess emulsion into your pot, and it'll be ready for next time. Then give your coating trough and any tools that you've used a good wash, because you don't want any emulsion to harden on them. Once your emulsion is dry, you need to expose it. And you do that by sandwiching your transparency between the screen and a light source. So wherever the transparency is dark, then light will be blocked from getting through to the screen. And then wherever that happens, the emulsion will stay soft, and then when you wash it out later, that bit will wash away, and then everything that's been exposed to the light will stay on the screen like this. I do this by using this light box which I built. These are just standard light fittings, and I've put some UV bulbs in them. There's a piece of safety glass on top, and I built a wooden box to contain it all. When I started out, I didn't have this kind of setup. What I used was an angle poised lamp and the transparency, a piece of glass, and my screen. Now, I can't show you this setup right now because I gave it away to another budding screen printer, but I will post a link down below to how that setup works. And then the only expense that you really need is the lamp if you don't already have one, and then a UV bulb which you can get off the internet and costs you a few pounds. So without a doubt, the light box is the most difficult thing for a beginner to access. However, you don't really need it to start out with. You can do it with a simple lamp and a bulb. The difference is that when I had that set up with the lamp and the bulb and then a piece of glass, the acetate, and then the screen, it would take me about 40 minutes to expose that screen with the light kind of shining onto it. It took a lot of trial and error to get to that number, and I washed out a lot of screens working it out. With the light box, I can do it in 35 seconds. So it allows me to expose a lot of screens and to do them really quickly. I turn the tubes on a little while to warm up first, and then switch them off again before placing my acetate on top. And you should be able to see that the letters are all the right way round. If you do other forms of printmaking, you'll know that often you have to write your words back to front. But with screen printing, you do it all the right way round. So then I create my sandwich with the light box, the light source underneath, the glass on top, the acetate, then my screen. And then I use a piece of foam and some books to weigh it all down, just to make sure that there's no gaps between the acetate and the screen. Otherwise, you can get a few like blurry lines. I put a blanket over the top just to protect my eyes from the UV lights. And then I expose it for 35 seconds. Once it's exposed, I take it into my shower, which I've worked out is the best place in my house for doing this. So I like to use a hose with a spray attachment, which I find really gets into the mesh and clears it really quickly. So when you've exposed your screen, you won't really notice any colour change in it very much. Sometimes you can see a little shadow. But once you start putting water on it, so if you wet both sides of it, you should start to see that emulsion lighten up. And then you just keep putting water on it, and slowly it changes colour, and then it all washes away, it washes out of the screen. And you should be able to see the colour of the mesh underneath. You can hold your screen up to the light and check to see that all of the areas are clear. And when you're sure that they are, you can leave your screen somewhere to dry. If when you're checking your screen up against the light you notice a few pinholes in the emulsion, that's perfectly normal. And what you can do is take a little paintbrush, take some of the emulsion and just dab it in those spaces where you've got those little pinholes. And that will just fix any little bits where there might have been a dust or some hair or something on your glass when you were exposing your screen. Now you can put your screen back on your light box or under your light source to harden that, but actually just sitting out in the sun will do that job fine. So we've gone from my original drawing to a transparency, which I've then exposed onto a screen. In next week's video, I'm going to show you what to do with this. So I'm going to show you everything from preparing your paper, mixing your inks, getting a good image on here, getting the registration right so it prints in exactly the same place every time. And then I'm going to show you how to clean down your screen, get all the ink off it, and also how to reclaim it when you want to use it again for another image. So thanks very much for watching today. I really hope that you found that helpful. So if you do give this a go, I'd love to know. I'd love to see the projects that you make, and you can always tag me on any of them on Instagram. I'm Lou Rachel Davis, and I love to see them. So thanks very much for watching today, and I will hopefully see you again in another video. Thanks, bye!